Station, this is Houston. Are you ready for the event?
We are ready for the event.
KGO TV, this is Mission Control Houston. Please call station for a voice check.
Station, this is KGO TV. How do you hear me?
We have you loud and clear. Welcome to the International Space Station.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to talk to you. We wanted to talk to you today about taking pictures in space. We have all these wonderful photographs from you guys, and we want to know, what do you most enjoy taking pictures of?
Are you back?
Okay.
I think all of us can agree that taking pictures of the Earth is the most enjoyable. Every time we look down, it's different. The lighting is different. The clouds are different. So even though we pass over the same place several times, it just always looks a little different. And for me, that is definitely the most fun thing to take pictures of.
Now, that looks like a very heavy camera, but I would imagine it's not so heavy in microgravity.
Wow, that's part of the beauty of it is that you can maneuver a gun like this and be very comfortable moving it around and point a different direction without any fatigue. So it's actually really nice. It's kind of like this microphone. I can let it go and it stays there, and then you can maneuver it to wherever you need to be.
How much time do you guys have to take pictures up there, and what sort of gear are you using? Is this a camera that I could go buy at a camera store?
Well, I think you have to ask your employer that to make sure before you head off to that to buy this expensive camera. I think they're pretty pricey, but you certainly can. They're commercially available products that we're using, and it's really pretty convenient to have such a selection that we have. We have a wall of lenses and different camera bodies that we can use at any given time. And it's usually in the evenings that we have personal time to take pictures, but during the day, there's certain locations that are scheduled into our day that we try to get pictures of every workday.
When you're taking pictures, is it kind of like taking travel photos? Is it kind of like you're on a trip and you're taking pictures out the window of the car? Or, I mean, are there certain things that you're able to see from the space station that you're just dying to get a shot of when they happen?
Yeah, well, a lot of times, in fact, our one of our pieces of exercise equipment is right above or below the cupola, depending how you're looking at it. And a lot of times when I'm working out, I'll look up and oh man, I gotta go get a picture of something just as beautiful. And so in that way, it's very similar to vacation when you're traveling and you just have to stop. You see some beautiful view that you want to take a picture of, and so it's very similar in that way.
I mean, how much does the scenery out the window change? How does Earth fill the window? Are you always seeing different weather systems and different events? Does it make you feel like you're close to home?
Yeah, we never get tired looking out the window, and it's something that we talk among ourselves. It's amazing how even though the orbit sooner or later will let us pass again over some place that we've already been, the Earth is always perfect and always different. It's constantly changing. You never look outside and see something that you've seen before that is not somehow different. The lighting, the angle, the cloud cover, the sun glint. So you can never possibly get tired of looking out the window and discovering new things. That's just the beauty of this amazing site that we have. Now, personally, my favorite way to look down on Earth is when I was outside using this camera, and I think Chris would agree with that nothing can really beat that.
So you have three different cameras there. There's one with looks like a very wide lens, one with a long one, and then that special one that's made for going on spacewalks?
Yeah, that's exactly right. We're a little bit tricking you with this white one. It's really the same camera body with thermal blanket material over the top of it, and we can put whichever type of lens we prefer for that particular spacewalk. And then the camera bodies are the same on these two, just with different lenses, and then we use some unique lenses for inside shots when we want to get a little wider perspective on in a narrow space, and then obviously the longer lens here for really trying to zero in on a particular city or our hometown or anything of interest that we're trying to shoot outside.
Now, I've seen you guys take some selfies, so to speak, some self-portraits, some trick photos. What stuff do you do with the cameras when you're off duty there on the space station?
Well, I think every crew of every expedition tries to come up with something that can somehow identify them. And I think that something that's very peculiar about our crew is that it's one of the youngest crew overall that has been on the station. I'm 36 years old, and my crew members are only slightly older than I am. So we like to send down pictures to the ground, to the people that work with us every day, to let them know that we think of them and that we're having fun. And even when things get hard and it's a long day, we still like to take funny pictures where we're all smiling, or we're in some funny position or something funny happen, and we like to take a shot at that and let people know that we're having fun, and that this is a great place to work, and that we're grateful for what they do with us.
Is it fun? Is it especially fun to be in microgravity? Are there things you can do there to take cool pictures that you couldn't do otherwise?
Actually, yeah, one of the coolest things. Well, yeah, you can be Superman. But also playing with other objects that. Playing with refraction of light and water. I'm sure you've seen those pictures where you get a bubble of water in front of you, and of course in the water, because of refraction, your face is upside down, and you just can't do that anywhere else. This is the only place that's possible. So things like that really make it fun.
Now, I wanted to talk real briefly about that spacewalk, and I know, Luca, you had some tense moments there. Can you guys talk a little bit about what happened there?
I think that for a couple of minutes there, maybe more than a couple of minutes, I experienced what it's like to be a goldfish in the fishbowl from the point of view of the goldfish. So about half an hour into the EVA, 45 minutes maybe, Chris and I were ahead on our task, so we were starting our third task, and I felt some water on the back of my head, and I realized that it was cold water. It was not a normal feeling, so I told ground. Chris came by to give it a look. He couldn't see anything. He took some pictures of it, but it wasn't until a couple of minutes later that we actually saw the water trickling in the front of the helmet, and then I felt it covering my ears. And at that point, we called a terminate for the EVA. I started going back to the airlock, and the water kept trickling until it completely covered my eyes and my nose. It was really hard to see. I couldn't hear anything. It was really hard to communicate. I went back using just memory, basically going back to the airlock until I found it, and then went inside, and Chris was there in split seconds to come inside, close the airlock, and repressurize. Karen was already there, ready to repressurize. Our Russian colleagues were all there to help, and as soon as the two compartments were equalized, they doffed. Meaning they took off my helmet, wiped my face from all the water, about 3 pounds of water, I would say, and that was the end of it. For me, the worst part, as Chris mentioned, I was miserable, but okay. It's just imagine walking around with your eyes closed in a fishbowl. Really, that's what was going on at the moment. It's just a very uncomfortable feeling to be with your face underwater for all that time. But the reaction of the crew was outstanding, I think. The crew on the ground and the crew on board. Chris really supported me, and I was just lucky to be back inside in no time.
All right. Thank you guys very much. I really appreciate your time, and greetings from Earth.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us.
Station, this is Houston ACR. That concludes the KGO TV portion of the event. Please stand by for a voice check from WDAY TV.
Station, this is WDAY TV Fargo. Do you hear me?
We have you loud and clear. Welcome to the International Space Station.
Thanks, Karen. Just to begin with, the picture you took of Minnesota yesterday and tweeted, Karen, is really going crazy on Facebook and being retweeted. What was that like? Because I know a couple years ago, or on the shuttle flight, you tried taking that picture, and I think it was cloudy. So what was that like to actually see Minnesota from that perspective?
It was fantastic. I actually have to thank Chris for that. He knew that I'd been waiting I've been, trying to look at our world map program that shows when we're going to cross over various places and try and time it. And I go to the window and it's cloudy again. And that's how it was on my shuttle flight when I had a chance to look 2 or 3 times. And then finally I was doing a task and I get a call over intercom. Karen, come! It's clear over Minnesota. And so I hightailed it down to the cupola and got a camera out and got some pictures. It was pretty neat.
It's amazing. I think a lot of people didn't expect that you could actually pick out the lakes, the Otter Tail Lakes, the West Battle, East Battle. Were you surprised that it was that much clarity?
I really didn't know what to expect, but I was going to look for Otter Tail Lake first because that, I think, in that area is the easiest to pick out, and it was very easy to find it. And then I knew that East Battle Lake was going to be nearby, and so yeah, it was very easy to find all of that with the naked eye.
And Luca, you've been tweeting a lot of pictures too, and I think you and Karen especially are finding it when there's big peninsulas and or Sicily or something like that. That's really fun to take a picture of because people back here on Earth can kind of relate and pick out. Is that some of the things you kind of look at and look for?
Well, I am from Sicily, and Italy and the Italian peninsula is probably one of the easiest spots to find on Earth on any time, even at night. Just the shape is so recognizable. Already, if somebody asked me to take a specific picture in Central Europe, it would be a lot harder to find. And as a matter of fact, we have had some trouble picking specific cities and capitals over Europe. And it's true also for Central United States and the central regions of Asia. We like the coastlines because they are very easy to recognize. We can follow a coastline and find specific landmarks. So it is a lot of fun, especially for somebody like me that comes from Italy and for the south of Italy. It's a lot of fun to identify spots and take a picture and then send it down for people to see what we're doing and kind of get them curious that we are up here and we are flying over them. They need to realize that we do that on our spare time. So we get a lot of requests. Please take a picture of this town, this place. It's really hard to do that because we cannot guarantee that we will be over a specific place at a specific time to make a picture.
Sure. And Karen, I'm sure you're able to share pictures with family back home, and I know you communicate with your husband and son. Are they communicating with your son's artwork back up in space? Are you trading?
Yeah, it's kind of nice. I get pictures of him and some of the art he's done, and then I send down pictures and videos to him and my husband. We have had great communication.
Luca, and I was listening to the interview prior to mine, and I was just going to ask, in the last 12, 18 hours, have they been able to pin down any more on where that water came from, or is that still out there?
We've been doing some troubleshooting, Chris and I, on my suit and trying to find what the source could be. At this specific moment, we know where it did not come from. We know it didn't come from the water bag that we used to drink, and we know it didn't come from my LCVG, the liquid cooling garment that we wear under the suit. But NASA, the NASA specialists and the engineers are still working really hard to find out exactly what happened, and I'm sure that they will find both the problem and the solution.
and Chris, that certainly was a team effort. I know Karen was there as well. That's one of those things that's not in the binder that you guys are always looking at. Can you just describe what those few minutes were like?
Yeah, that's a good question. You know, before every spacewalk or every major task that we do, with robotics, for example, or spacewalks, we have a brief, and together as a crew, we talk about what we're going to do and what we will do if there's a problem. And we did the same thing the day before yesterday, and we talked about a few different issues, but lo and behold, what happened was not one of those items that we discussed. And it was just through training and understanding about what's inside the suit, how the suit works, and how it could propagate to a bigger problem, which it did, and then communicating with the ground when to end it. And in my own gut feeling, I knew it was time to end it when I saw the water creeping around his communications cap, kind of right by his eyelid, and I knew that was a significant amount of water to be in a helmet, and it was time to go in. And that all happened just like you said. It was just a few moments. It was maybe 4 to 6 minutes that we were discussing it and sitting outside, and quickly the plan developed. And as all incidents, happen, it's right when the sun was setting and right as it made things harder. So all those things sort of came together at the perfect storm, if you so to speak, for us to deal with.
Well, guys, I really appreciate it. You have a great rest of the week.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for joining us.
Station, this is Houston ACR. Thank you. That concludes the event.
Thank you, KGO TV and WDA TV station. We are now resuming operational audio comm. And Chris, we are ready for your private conference. We'll be dialing SSC 15 unless you prefer a different one.